Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday morning. And Saturday is actually becoming a very special day for me since the last 3 months, because on Saturday evenings I do a group coaching from 8 to 9 p.m. So we've done it, we started it in March, and it's been quite delightful. And this is an ongoing group coaching program, and I'm making this video to answer a few questions that I received about it from different people. So I just thought, am I doing this program? One of my key motives and missions, if I may say, in life at this point is to enable and empower more and more people to be more joy. And my personal journey has been one of being very overwhelmed with the thoughts and emotions that I would experience in my inner world and in my life, and really getting into question about, hey, you know what, there has to be another way, there has to be a different way to live. And that's been my professional journey. So over a decade of research and teaching in positive psychology, academia, that's also been my personal journey, experimenting with a whole host of modalities, self-help therapies, pranic healing, energy modalities, yoga, all of that. And where I am now is I have this toolkit of amazing resources and a storehouse of an amazing body of knowledge which has been created by scholars exploring this question of human happiness for decades. And what really interests me at this point is the practical application of these, because I've done my research, I've done my philosophical quests, I've done my experimentations, and now I see that there are these lovely tools that we can use, and which I have been using and which I continue to use to craft the well-being of my inner world, right? My space. So the analogy that I'm going to use actually is that of gardening, and my garden. And I choose to put things in it that bring me joy, that delight me, that inspire me, that bring me peace, that help me in my creativity, whatever it is that I want to. It's not because these are the right things to put in a garden. And when it comes to a garden, we understand this, right? And each one of us believes that, yeah, we have the permission to design our gardens, to put things that we like and to change them in future if we want to change them, and to do it as an ongoing process, not about getting the right garden or the best garden or the perfect garden, but a garden that works for you. And in fact, even when I said I have these particular plants or the grass or the lawn, the things that bring me delight and joy, if I was an artist, like let's say for some reason I wanted to even pick something that puts me into a very serene and somber reflective mode, I could. The thing is, I have choice. But when it comes to these gardens, the gardens in our minds, the gardens of our thoughts, many of us have not even realized or acknowledged, and sometimes we've not been given a permission from anyone. So we've not given ourselves the permission to design it in a way that works for us, to design it in a way that brings us alive, to design it in a way that we feel like living in the gardens of our mind, just like we live in the gardens outside. And this is what these Saturday coaching sessions are all about, reminding us over and over again. And I'm here to facilitate you and encourage you and empower you with tools, sometimes introducing you tools to you that you didn't know existed, that you can use to craft, create, replant, do whatever it is that you would like to do in the gardens of your mind. Now, what are the tools? In gardening, we use tools like we use a khurpi, we use string, we use scissors. And you know that if you don't know these tools, if you don't know how to work with these tools, it could just take a very long time, or you might feel overwhelmed with the amount of stuff you have in your garden, which maybe other people have thrown in and you didn't want them, and you want to create, you have a vision of something beautiful, but you don't have the tools to do it. Sometimes you don't have the tools, sometimes you don't know that these tools exist, and sometimes, like I told you, you haven't been given the permission to actually even craft your own garden. So this is the part where I come in as someone who has been studying, researching, and playing with tools for the last 20 years. And we have tools from psychology, tools from therapy, tools from different modalities that work on our thoughts, that work with our emotions, some tools that work on our feels at an energetic level. Why? Because when I'm talking about the inner landscapes of our mind, even if you look at even the very basics of psychology, you'll see we cannot leave emotions out. Our emotions, our thoughts, our sense making, our perception, it's like a chicken and egg story. Each one of them influences the other and sets the pace for the other to, take over. And same it is with our energy field. Our energy field is also an expression, manifestation of our thoughts and emotions, and vice versa. It influences our perceptions, what we think, how we feel. So we can be working with all of these. Just like you can trim a plant, you can also go to the roots, you can also look at a garden, we'll look at a whole bunch of tools, and I will remind you about these tools, offer tools and suggestions, and without any prescription, because it's your garden. So the thing that happened this morning is when I saw these pink flowers and I was talking to my husband, and I said, you know what, this is it. This is what my Saturday coachings is about, allowing each person to craft the garden of their mind. Sometimes people ask me for solutions and answers, and I'm like, I'm not giving you solutions and answers, because why do you want solutions and answers from me? I'm not an interior design consultant, but I'm here to empower you with the tools so you can choose your design. And I know there are people out there who tell you this is the best practice of having a garden, or every garden should have a Shiva, or you know what, if you have a Buddha in the garden, it's going to give you peace. But I'm not someone who believes in that. If you want to have Wonder Woman in your garden, that's fine. If you want to have a crow in your garden, that's fine. If you can have whatever you want, and that is choice. So I'm not going to give any prescriptions. There is no faith, there is no system or religion, there is no philosophy. This is not a forum for philosophical discussions or theory. Although those of you who know me or have been following my posts for a long time, or my academic work would know, I like theory. I like philosophical discourses, but we'll take that outside this forum. So whenever a question comes up about the theory or effectiveness, or how do you know this tool works? How do you know this kind of reframing will create this kind of a possibility? I'll give a short answer in the session itself and then link you to resources. There are lots of resources. I have created lots and lots of free resources about these tools. I have an entire video course on management. I don't have a point of view on how you create your garden and what you put into your garden, but I just want you to have the choice and freedom and the tools to create your own garden in a way that's empowering for you, because I know that it can be done. Now, again, sometimes, and since this group has been going on now for 3 months, we've been doing this coaching, sometimes people ask me that, well, this is a tool. Now you've taught us a tool. Now let's justify that it is the best tool or the right tool or a tool that you always have to use. No tool is like that. Every tool is just a tool. So for example, if you're learning gardening and somebody introduces a khurpi to you or a really big spade, you're not going to be using the spade on everything. You're not going to be using the spade every time. It's just like that here, right? Of course, now we have sharings. We have a WhatsApp group in parallel, and we will be discussing why, because we're sharing our experiments and learning. So I'll tell you about, hey, you know what, I use this spade to weed out certain seeds that I realized that I hadn't even planted in my garden. Last time, the time my mother visited, or when my parents visited, they put some seeds, and now those are sprouting, and I didn't really want them, so I used the spade to take it out. And that gives ideas to other people saying, how many things are there planted in my garden which I didn't even put the seeds in? They're not really working for me and I want to take it out. Does that mean all of us have to dig out the seeds that our parents put in our gardens? No. There could be another person who says, you know what? I was delighted because this morning I got up and I saw these things were springing up at themselves, and they're lovely. And I realized, oh, you know what? My mother had come and she had put these seeds in there, and I want them, I like them, I'm feeling so much gratitude. So you're not using the spade, right? So you're not always using the spade, you're not always taking out the seeds that other people put. But when you have awareness and when you have choice, can you see how much more empowered you can feel about the design of your own gardens? And when we're talking here, it is about the thoughts we entertain, about how we feel and emotions we feel. And that is, I think, a beautiful way to live. Okay. Now the other question I asked is should I always, for example, like one of the things I said was, do stuff that brings you alive and makes you joyful. Is it necessary? No. But if you do it, these are the advantages. If you don't, these are not. If you want to do it, this is the kind of introspection you can use. And now for the logistics bit. So this is an ongoing program. There's an annual membership. So if you sign up for an entire year. Why? Because this is not a one-time thing. This is about practice. It's about application. It's about learning a new skill, right? So you get your hands dirty. We work with cases every week. Now, how do we work with cases? What cases do we work with every week? Do I bring the cases? No. You bring the cases. Okay, so this is why this is live coaching. And typically, we work with 2 or 3 cases in a week. And I found that's what's most effective. And of course, we can be flexible. We have a parallel WhatsApp group where you can post your case, anything that you're struggling with, during the week. And on the WhatsApp group, or you can in advance, which is great. And then, people who post it in advance will get priority, or you bring it up in the class or the session. It's not a class. Now, when I'm facilitating one person in reframing, to cope or to transform or transmute or completely change whatever it is that they are either struggling with or dealing with or choosing to work on, everyone else actually participates. And everyone participates in 2 ways. And I've seen this happen in 2 ways, which is 1, people are welcome to chip in with their ideas and suggestions and reframes, what works for them and what doesn't. And also, a lot of times we're very similar. So someone's been vulnerable, opened up and talked about something, and they're like, oh my God, I have something similar going on, right? And you process it for yourself, and you're making those same analogies, and you go back and you experiment with something. That's one thing we do. The other thing we do is very often, almost always, I give home plays to the group. So I give you home play, something to experiment with, practice, try out, a tool to try out, right? During the week, and then we share reflections on that. The other thing that I've seen happening, and I didn't ask, but this is happening spontaneously, is where people are using the WhatsApp group to share and post resources. And this is where, for those of you who want the theoretical backing of the tools we use, or interesting TED Talks, interesting videos, interesting blogs and articles. So if you want to get into philosophy and theory, the WhatsApp group is used for that. We don't use too much of the live call time for the theory or the philosophical exchanges. Okay. The other thing I've seen happening is also, again, this was a side effect, networking. People are forming connections, helping one another out, and that's a beautiful outgrowth of this group program as well. Now, few more questions, which specifically some people asked me, which is, if it's ongoing, then what if I ask a question or bring up a situation which has already been discussed before? That's no problem. It's like gardening. We keep coming up with similar things, similar situations, and each case is unique. So just because somebody had a seed that was put by a mother and he or she used a spade to take it out and say, I don't want this anymore, I want to plant my own seed, doesn't mean that if you have a seed with a mother, it's going to be the same thing, right? So that's why the more cases, the more live examples we have, the more it's useful. I'm always asking people to bring up live situations, because each situation is unique, and that's where we get to explore the usage of these tools. Not creating a theory that every time you see seeds put by your mother, what you need to do is use this tool, the spade. No, okay, it doesn't work like that. And finally, what happens if you miss a question? We record the sessions. It's a closed group, and the recordings are made available for those who missed to catch up on, if you want to, anytime during the week, just for the week, and delete it after the week, right? So this is, if you can't make it for that particular Saturday evening, you can use the recording. Okay, lovely. How do you sign up? You send me a WhatsApp message. I'll have my phone number below this post or video, or you can just find me somehow. Or you can email me, ramya.ranganathan@gmail.com, and I'll take you through the enrollment process. And yes, today is a Saturday, so maybe some of you might join right away. If not, you can join any Saturday and continue. And even if you don't join before I sign off, I do want to let you know about 2 more things. One is that if you are interested in this whole idea of taking ownership of your inner worlds, of your spaces, of your thoughts, your emotions, and actually using. See, the tools don't work if you just know, if you just seen a lot of TED Talks, read a lot about positive psychology, learned a lot of different healing modalities. But if you don't use them, it's like you have all the tools. Somebody's gifted you that gardening kit and taught you about it. You've attended the course, but you've not entered your garden and you've not started doing the work. You won't see any change. And you might say, these tools don't work, these courses don't work, or this theory doesn't work. Hey, They're meant to be put to work, and then they'll work. I guarantee you they work. Okay, I use them. And for me, it's the more I use them, the more I'm like, why isn't everyone else using them? Because they're not complex. The theory might be complex, but using the tools is not. Like building a car, like, so coming up with, once someone has come up with that excellent instrument, you can just use it. You don't have to reinvent it. Okay, so please look up this whole place. I have a free course on YouTube. It's called Managing Your Inner Worlds. If you want an introduction to the theoretical aspects of managing our inner worlds, that is an excellent place to start. And the other information I want to leave you with is that if it's too intimidating for you to come in a group and to do this in a group setting, although I think the energy in a group setting is beautiful, the creativity is beautiful, we all learn, I benefit every time. I'm doing this not just for everyone, because of me. So we do this every Saturday and I'm like, great, oh my God, we're exploring the potency of these tools and the effectiveness of that, right? But if this doesn't work, I also do offer individual coaching, which is also, it's more, you can get in touch with me for that one-on-one. So the invitation is there for both. Okay, have a lovely Saturday and bye-bye.